Hey, yo, this is J Rose, and
Not here, you're missing out. This show?
I and you love wrestling, then we love wrestling.
Welcome to the We Love Wrestling spot. My name is Trey D. I got Nicole with me from Down for the Count, but you know, she's with We Love Wrestling. But today is a special day for me. You know, y'all know me. I be repping Indianapolis. That's where I'm at. I'm in the Indianapolis area. And I said I'm going to go and get people in Indianapolis and put them on here. And I got my third person with Indiana ties here. But if you're watching GCW, Paradigm Pro, like on IWTV, on Fight TV, you might hear this man start your show off and get you hype. When I hear him at a show, I get hype because he's hype in the ring. He always can't get in the ring properly, but we won't talk about that here today.
That's neither here nor there.
We have with us today Mr. J Rose. How are you doing, sir?
Sensational. Especially since I'm on one of the finest professional wrestling podcasts in the world. I'm doing great.
I won't even lie to you. I don't even call this a podcast. We do a spotlight. But today we might turn into a podcast where we got a man who know about wrestling, and it's all there. But let's get this first question out the way, J Rose. We always ask, why do you love wrestling, or what started your love for wrestling?
So to make a rather long story short, I'm an only child. And when I was growing up, the closest thing I had to any sort of sibling was my older cousin. And he's like, I want to say maybe 13 years older than me. Nah, maybe even a little less, but he's significantly older than me. So like we didn't have a lot that was in common. But the way that we bonded was every Monday, every Thursday, we would watch wrestling. And that was my time to spend time with my cousin. And like one of my earliest memories, it's of like Triple H and The Rock on Raw. And I don't remember what specific episode, but it's one of my earliest memories as like as a human, not just in professional wrestling, just as a person. But my cousin lived with me for a little bit, but my parents didn't want me watching professional wrestling because they thought it was dumb. They thought it would rot my brain. And, you know, I always found a way. It got to the point, though, in middle school that they used, like, the smart chip in the TV, and they blocked not just, like, the programs themselves, like the entire channels that wrestling would be on. So I couldn't watch anything on USA. I couldn't watch anything on CW. I couldn't watch anything on my network TV for as little time as on there. Nothing on Sci-Fi. I can watch any wrestling. That was, except for, they didn't know about Ring of Honor on HDNet, which is in one of those real high numbers. One of the crazy high numbers.
Man, it was back in the day.
So,
it was like in the 800s or some wild.
Some astonishing.
I remember
like
that.
Some dumb high. So when that all started, like when that started up, I became a super huge fan of Ring of Honor. So I have a love for Davey Richards to this day. I love Roderick Strong, things of that regard. But the two people that stood out to me was El Generico and Kevin Steen. And you know, you can look at me. I'm a skinny black kid, you know what I'm saying, and I like wrestling. So you know, at times I wasn't making too many friends. You know what I'm saying? I was getting bullied and whatnot. And you would think with like me being bullied, I would lean towards Generico being my favorite. Well, that wasn't the case. Even though I was Generico, I wanted to be Steen. So Kevin Steen became my favorite wrestler ever. Eventually, my parents found out about ROH and they clipped it. I started getting back in 2013. And I started getting into the independent scene once I found out, Kevin Steen still wrestles, Davey Richards still wrestles, and I really dove into that. and it's been a lifelong love ever since then. But the moment I can say solidly that made me a wrestling fan forever. Like I can pinpoint this moment where it was like, oh, I'm just a wrestling fan, to the moment it was like, okay, this is a different sort of love. Is when Jeff Hardy jumped off the Titantron on the Randy Orton. It's like Raw, early 2008. I'll never forget it. I was sitting in my living room. I was like, this is the coolest. Nothing will ever be cooler than this, ever. And I've been hooked ever since.
Hey, I remember that too. That was Jeff Hardy. You're crazy if you happen to see this. So Jay, Kevin Steen, what you do when you got in the Ring of Honor?
Mm-hmm.
Who's you do? Just watching wrestling growing up.
So growing up, I really loved The Rock because my cousin was a WCW dude, right? But it got to a point where it got really hard to watch WCW, so we started watching WWF. And his favorite WWF wrestler was The Rock. So that's my first favorite wrestler. Jeff Hardy, obviously, because all black people 35 and under love Jeff Hardy. I don't make the rules. Who else? I really like. There's other people early on. Like I really like Christian because I thought he was funny. I really like Jericho because I thought he had cool gear. But my first favorite wrestler that I could distinguish on my own without any sort of influence or anyone else, I love Batista. I was a big Batista dude. He had the machine gun pyro. He did the power bomb. He did the spear. He had tattoos, cool haircut. That was the guy. Outside of that, it's basically just more Jeff Hardy, a little bit of CM Punk, but I didn't get CM Punk until he became a bad guy, and it was like, okay, I get it now. No, I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. No, that about covers it. It's Jeff Hardy and Batista. Those were the two that were they could do no wrong. Obviously Rey Mysterio, but the Jeff Hardy and Batista, those were the ones. And Bobby Lashley. Early Bobby Lashley with that was a milk dud god. He could do no wrong. I was talking the other day about the time where he was in ECW. He just got done with a cage match, and Umaga was on the outside,
and
he does a full sprint and jumps and destroys the cage.
I remember that. I
was 10 years old. You couldn't tell me a damn thing. That was the next world champion, boy.
Hey, that was my favorite moment. When he did that, I just watched that maybe 3 weeks ago because I put it on Instagram, and I was like, man, this moment right here,
it's insane. He just because the thing that I noticed about it, watching it recently, in the past year or so, that proves to me that Bobby Lashley could have done dives because he really cleared the whole top rope. No tope, no flip. He just cleared it.
It went sideways into it bam, oh, okay.
He could have been doing there is an alternate universe where Bobby Lashley is doing 450s and we're just depraved.
In the separate timeline that we do not have access to.
Not yet, at least.
Not yet.
You got it, Nicole. I'm gonna come back, me.
Okay, well, first off, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. So we were talking about a little bit about first and you getting into wrestling. So what is your first memory, or what was your first show that you saw live, whether it was independent or at a company?
So because my parents did not let me watch wrestling on TV, I didn't go to my first wrestling show until I was 19. My first wrestling show, is what I considered my anniversary, because that was the day I submitted my first piece of design work. I'd done other stuff before, not a lot of people know this, but I did a video that was on a CZW iPay-per-view when I was 18 years old. It was for Leva Bates, if I remember correctly. But I was 19 and I went to this place. I on South Kentucky Avenue in the shadows of Lucas Oil Stadium, and it was, in retrospect, it was kind of mid, but in the moment, you can tell me a damn thing. This was premier professional wrestling. That was where I met my best friend that I've met in wrestling, Sean Kemp, not the basketball player. He was on that card. Cole Radrick was on that card. Calvin Tankman was on that card.
Okay.
And that was the first wrestling anything I'd ever seen. My first WWE show, I went to the Raw where the Shield reunited the first time in Indianapolis.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my first pay-per-view is WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans.
Oh, wow.
Craziness. I think that we can talk about this in a little bit, but I think that they should hold WrestleMania in New Orleans every year.
Hey,
I'm very upset because that's like right when I started going to well, not right when I started, but that was like a little bit before that. That's when I started going to WWE shows again.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, it's like, that sounds fun because one of my best friends lives in New Orleans. And I was like, oh, I could just stay with her. I was like, oh, I'll just go next year, whatever. And then I hear so many stories about it. And I was like, you shouldn't have went. Even though I would have went by myself, basically. But I was like, still should have went.
Hey, I drove from Indianapolis to New Orleans for that WrestleMania.
Crazy.
No, to 30, and then 34, 30 I drove in because I was like, I was going through some stuff, and I was like, let me go to WrestleMania,
Right.
some other stuff. And then 34, we flew in, and the streets of New Orleans before and after WrestleMania, my goodness, it's like
It's sad. It's literally like I've been to WrestleMania weekends after that, but nothing was like that. That was crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
That's why.
So I know I think you told the story a little bit before. I think I heard like bits and pieces of how you started to get into the business. I know you started designing and then also submitting stuff to different indie promotions. So if you want to tell us a little bit more and tell our audience a little bit more about how you really got started in.
Originally, growing up, like in high school, I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I did like video class, but I'm essentially self-taught. So when it came down to like, what can I do in wrestling? I was in an area. I wasn't living in Indianapolis. I went for a year. I was at a school up in Grand Rapids. There was no training nearby, so it's like, what can I do? So I taught myself Photoshop, and I focused on video editing, and I started like doing all these wrestling videos. When I came back to Indianapolis in 2016, I found the promotion that was on South Kentucky Avenue, 1151. I'm not gonna say the name. If you know, you know. But I realized that the logo that they had was like atrocious. I don't know if I can curse here, but I will simply say atrocious.
Oh, you can. We don't care.
It is shitty as hell. It was so bad. It was a horrible logo. So I was like, okay, I'll just make them a logo. And like from doing the logo, I started doing my graphics. From doing my graphics, I started like applying my video work. So this was like a weekly wrestling promotion. And I started recording the shows every week and applying my trade there, learning how to edit those, learning how to do that. So I learned everything I could as far as it is like doing stuff at home. Then I learned everything as far as I could do with production. So I learned how to run backstage, know how to run music, spotlights. I know a little bit of electrical work. I know how to set up a ring. For the most part, I'm not no ring crew head, but and I know how to run video. And it got to the point where I was going to all these shows around Indiana, and it was really frustrating because most of the announcers at these shows would have zero energy. And like, I'm not even talking like me, because I know I'm extremely animated, but we're not like, this isn't even like traditional like TV wrestling announcers. They were Dead. These are people who should not have been in the positions that they were in.
Yeah, dead
It's
on
frustrating.
arrival.
And the shows would suffer, but I would realize when there was more animated ring announcers, the shows would be better. And like when I was in high school, I did theater, and I never technically competed on the speech team, but I qualified for the speech team. So I can do public speaking, I can be animated, I can be charismatic. I was like, well, just let me do it. And I had to fight. I'm not giving enough credit, though, how much I had to fight to get into these positions. But to be able to ring announce, I had to fight for 6 months to a year to try and get in this ring announcing position. And finally, they let me do it. And they were extremely happy with it. So then I started like, okay, well, that's another thing that I could add. Then I started doing a little bit of managerial work because I would always be in the car with the other wrestlers, and they'd be like, well, they were lacking in promos and it needed extra heat for what they did. And so I was like, well, I can talk. Let me go out there and talk. So I learned how to, now I'm not going to say that's what I do, but I've done it before. So at this point, now that I've learned how to book throughout the past year, I've done that. I know essentially how to do everything but wrestling, everything in wrestling, but bump. And if you give me enough time, I'll learn how to do that too.
Speaking of bumps, what did you do to Billy Dixon? What's the beef? What's going on with
He
that?
didn't do nothing.
I'm not going to re-aggravate the situation. I'm grown enough to admit that I, in a previous life, and not a previous life, because it was literally just months ago, I offended Billy Dixon with my words by saying that when AJ lost against Nick Gage for the GCW World Title, someone in a Twitter space was like, well, what if Billy Dixon could do it? And I was like, Billy Dixon can't even beat AJ. AJ can't beat Gage. Then what are we doing here? And that was very disrespectful. I was talking shit. He didn't take too kindly about it. So he beat up Hoodfoot and he kicked me in the breadbasket. Now, me and Billy have since come to terms. We've talked it out like grown men. We've hashed it out. Him and Hoodfoot aren't on that same sort of level. I don't expect him to be on that sort of level anytime soon. But we're good now. No, me and him are good. We're good. We're good. See, Billy, he is the most creative man in all professional wrestling. He could definitely be a serious contender for any title that he chooses to go after. And we're all good. But
hey, Nicole.
What?
all right.
When Billy
I know I
showed
had to
up,
say something before Billy cussed me out, so.
when Billy showed up at, oh my God, I was like, whoa. And J Ro, you got into the, don't you, let me be quiet, but you got, keep going, Nicole. Billy did what he had to do. I ain't got no issues.
And I wish he didn't, but I understand why he did. I understand why he did. I wish he didn't. Don't get it twisted. It hurt. It really did. But, it be like that sometimes. Sometimes you got to get smacked back into your place. You know what I'm saying? Hoodfoot's not that hard, and Hoodfoot's more hard-headed than I am. So they got to duke it out. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just got to give them 1-2, hash it out.
Shout out Hoodfoot.
That's my guy. Shouts out to the Hoodfoot. Shouts out to Chase Holly. Shouts out to Percy Davis. 504 represent.
Everybody. So talking a little bit about that. So I think the first time I remember seeing you, or I recall really, really seeing you, and I can't remember the name of what I was watching, because all I remember is on IWTV,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like a cool series. It was like it was early last year, and I think Tom Lawler was on the card. And I don't recall anyone else.
Was it a show or was it like a series, like a TV show? Was it like a standalone?
Yeah, it was like it was a series. Because I ran.
Was it UWFI Contenders or was it?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was looking, and because before I was like, I haven't seen it. I was like, is this the first time I've seen a black announcer
Really?
at a thing? And then I was really going through my mind and I was like, I feel like it is. I was like, I might have before, or if I've gone to like a show somewhere in Pontiac where I live at in Ohio, but I was like, wow, this is the first time I seen it. And I got so excited because I know I've talked to Terry and I've talked to others I've yelled about on internet. I just get so excited because yes, I love seeing a lot of like people that look like us if of us in those other roles and like the backstage and booking and whatnot. So how do you feel about, I don't want to say ushering or but being one of those in a conversation along with Suge assisting of really bringing more of us into those roles that weren't really afforded to us beforehand and
So
being in those spaces?
before I answer that, I would like to just say, uh, there isn't a lot of us, but I will not say that I'm the first. Shout out first of all to Larry Legend, my OG. Uh,
Yeah.
he currently ringing out. He was the longtime ring announcer for CCW back when they were like popping and whatnot. He formerly ring announced for GCW, currently ring announces for ICW No Holds Barred. Also, shout out to John Ian, who rest in peace. He died, I believe, either earlier this year or late last year. He was He was the original voice of Pro Wrestling Guerrilla in California. Those are the two people. Because the moment that you're talking about, I had that moment with them, and
Yeah.
it's really like the snowflake that started the snowball down the hill that led to the giant avalanche that you see in front of you today. It's humbling, I think is the best word to come up with it. To be like, because I get this all the time. It's like I've never even thought about a black ring announcer, like especially at least on the independent level. Now I know that there's like Brandy Rhodes. That's how she got into wrestling, but like as far as it goes with like our level, there isn't that many. And since then, I've had people, all sorts of marginalized groups, be like, "I saw you do it," and I said to myself, "If he can do it, I can do it." And like we don't have to get into this unless y'all want to, because like I bring this up not every podcast, but often. But early on in my wrestling, like my upbringing and learning how to do stuff, I got like beat, like physically. I'm not talking about like mental strain, yes, obviously, but I got physically beat to do non-physical wrestling roles. And like it took me a very long time to realize that's real out of the ordinary. Like that's not normal. So a big part of what my mission going forward now is I don't want anybody either on the extreme level with the physical stuff or on a macro level with the mental. I don't want anybody to ever have to go through the same sort of stuff I had to go through to get to the places where I am. Because no one, unless, and I'm not to disparage anybody else's journey, but no one had to go through the things that I had to go through to get in the exact same positions that they're in. I don't want that for nobody, especially not for any sort of marginalized group, specifically not for any black folk. That's what I work towards. So there have been many a person who have reached out to me and said, "Hey, how do I get into AV? Hey, how do I get into ring announcing? Hey, how do I get into backstage interviewing?" Things of that regard. And I'm glad to be keeping up the legacy of the Ians and Larrys and Brandy Rhodes who came before me. That's really cool to me to be considered. Because now I have like some people who are even older than me who want to call themselves my like protege. And I'm like, I'm 24. I shouldn't be having no proteges. I need to be someone else's protege. But it's humbling it's humbling to really think about that, like, I'm part of the group that's ushering in the new movement. That's really cool to me.
big.
Yeah, and I also love the sentiment, and I feel like that's something that a lot of old heads hold on to is that they,
Hmm.
and I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying like a certain group of them feel like the people that come up after them, specifically our age group, have to go through the exact same hardships and abuse and mental, physical that they did. But it's like, why? It's like, why do that? It's like, what's the point of you going
What's
through
the
that
point?
if you're just going to keep continuing the cycle? Let's break it. And
Right.
I appreciate you for mentioning that because it's a way to for us to start chipping away and breaking that cycle. So when those who come up after us don't have it way easier than we ever had it. And that's the whole
Right.
point.
My main goal is no one to ever have to go through any sliver of what me and even like a lot of my wrestler friends who grew up with me, like Tankman and Hoodfoot, Sean Kemp, we all don't want people to have to go through the things that we had to go through in order to get to the positions that we're in. Because there's still like I've dealt with the majority of mine, but like for some of my friends, there's still like deep rooted like trauma that goes with how they came up in wrestling specifically. We're not even talking about real life, just in wrestling. So as long as we're paving a better future, that means I'm doing my job.
Facts.
So speaking of that, so you had a busy, I want to say you've had a busy year, but especially the last couple months. So everything from Effie's big gay brunch to whatever else, millions of things. I have the worst memory, so I don't remember the names of every single thing. But I feel like I've been seeing you everywhere, and I see you everywhere. So what has been most rewarding experience you've had so far this year, or the something that was just so mind-blowing and like exciting and positive and you're just like, man, I'm so happy I was able to experience this?
Um, I've done a more so than anything. Like I know it's not particularly within the scope, but the peak so far because people get mad at me like you haven't peaked. I'm like okay. The peak of my career so far is the collective last year in Indianapolis because he knows this, but I'm an East Sider. So where the collective was held was literally 5 minutes away from where I went to middle school, where teachers and other kids would tell me the wrestling is dumb. And I got paid 5 minutes away, like almost a decade later. Just about a decade later, yeah. A decade later, I get paid to do wrestling stuff. And I have like it's filled to the brim and people are chanting like for me. Like that's a moment I will never forget. But within the constraints of the past few months, it's just now like settling in that I did 2 seasons worth of a TV show. I did 2 seasons worth of a TV show on IWTV where I wrote it, I directed it, I booked it, I edited it, like all in No Hook.
No
As
hook.
much as No Hook is like was a group project because I could not have done
Yeah.
it without the faith, the blessing, and the help of the rest of the Paradigm team. That was my baby, and I put that on my back. And I did not just 1 season of it; I did 2 seasons of it. And to get like a steady fan base of people who were locked in to watch it at 10 o'clock at night every week on a Wednesday, that's crazy. Like it's really just now setting in that I not only did I do it, but it was a thing that happened successfully.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Had some great talent down there when I saw. I was like, "Ooh, I know these people." Okay,
Yeah.
10
It
p.m. going down.
it was appointment viewing for folk at some points, and that's really crazy to me. Because if somebody told me there's this wrestling show that starts at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday, you need to watch it, I would tell them to get the fuck out of my face.
No, I tell people, and then I did watch it. Mind you, a lot of times I would be like, okay, I'm just gonna record this and I'll go watch it when I'm getting ready in the morning. But especially like I just thought it was just so good, and it's just like such a whole different assortment of just talent. Because I know sometimes when it comes to certain productions and certain promotions or whatever, you kind of sometimes feel like it's like a cycle of like the same exact people all the time, constantly.
Mhm.
But I feel like it was just like so different. I just like loved the show. So literally, hats off to you and everyone who's involved with it. It's amazing.
It was a group effort, but I've come to as I don't like giving myself credit like that.
You
I don't
should.
like complimenting myself, but I really did put that bitch on my back. Like, I without any sort of help or additional funding, I never want to do it again. Yeah, it was a nice little experience. I'm glad I did it, but without help or funding, never again.
Yeah.
Never again.
All right, so I'm gonna kick it over to Terry and see Terry has any more questions for you.
Oh, we going right into it. Black wrestling draws.
Okay. Yes.
Did you create the hashtag?
No. So, do you want me to just go over the origin of it real quick?
Let's
Yeah,
go
because
into it.
because everyone was trying to figure it out
Everybody
the
was
other day.
asking, so matter of fact, we should go live on Twitter right now so they can know it because they got the black wrestling draws tonight for Jade Cargill.
Hey, but before, as you do that, let me just say, God is a woman, and her name is Jade Cargill. That is maybe my favorite current wrestler right now, and she can do no wrong.
Talk about it.
She's like 6'5" and jacked. Like she is a WCW wrestler from 2000 transmuted into 2021. She's incredible. That's man. The day when she wins the world champ, when she wins the world title, is the day that my soul leaves my body. I can be at rest.
Yo, I just remember like maybe 2017 or 18, my buddy sent me a text and he was like, yo, it's a new one at the Performance Center. I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, a black goddess that's about to start wrestling. I'm like, who? And he shows me the picture. I'm like, oh my. But to see her on TV now is great. Black wrestling draws. Jade Cargill versus legit Layla Hirsch.
It's gonna be good.
Yes.
Layla's my people, and she just had Camille. But black wrestling draws. Everybody asks about it. J Rose, we live right now, baby.
Hello, Twitter.
So give us the origin story.
Okay, so the origins of black wrestling draws. I'm going to word this carefully because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. The way that I got into Twitter, like how I first made my connections outside of Indiana, is I have been a part of wrestling Twitter since 2014. And for the past, I grew up on wrestling Twitter, and you know what? It shows. For the past like 3, maybe 4 years, I've heard the same conversation comes around all the time. Why aren't they using black wrestlers? They need to use black wrestlers. And every couple months, we start complaining. We say that things need to change, and then we stop complaining, and then we get mad again. Nothing ever changes. And there have been select few movements in order to get stuff moving. Another movement that I can actually take entire credit for was the IWTV Black Lives Matter mixtape, which trended #1 last year.
Hey,
so then everybody.
Let me before you continue.
Yes.
I saw this thing and I didn't know who did it, but it opened up showing downtown the march that we had downtown Indianapolis that I was at, and then going into the buildings, and I was like, who in the blue hell did this, and why didn't I know nothing about this wrestling going on with this whole video? Like, kudos to you for doing that, because
I can't take all credit for it because the footage, I put it together. I will say that.
Okay.
The footage of the march is taken from formerly known as Swerve Video, now known as Jeremy Tapes. He works for AEW. That's my guy. Thank you so much for letting me use the footage. But he was like, use this for whatever you want, because I know that you're going to use this for a vision, because he's a white dude. But he said you can use this your scope for this is going to be greater than whatever purpose I have for it. So you go ahead and use that. Anyways, I digress. Thank you for I'm very proud of that. That's something I'm very proud of. But
yeah, well, just to piggyback a little bit, and we'll go off
yes.
But again, like I loved that whole production of it, and when I say I legitimately cried after it, I did, because it was just such an compensation of so many people that look like us, but it was like all different. So you have people like Trevor Aeon, which people are like, who is this dude? And then you swerved over to someone like Billy Dixon. And then you showed the match between Shador, and it was just so many, just so like, look at it. We're all different. We're all offering something. So again,
right, and like that was the whole point of this. Like, we stopped doing this because I ran out of money and I couldn't afford to keep doing it. But I used to, like, for every show for like a couple of months, I would bring just a bunch of yellow bandanas. I would give it out to every black wrestler I saw. And it was specifically yellow for two reasons. One, that was Breonna Taylor's favorite color. Two, it's one of the most loud, visible colors, especially against dark skin. And I wanted to be like, we are all not the same. We all share common experiences, but we are all individually different. And everyone was supposed to wear bandanas a slightly different way. Because even though we may look the same in some regards and we may share experiences, we're all different. We are not each other. We are each individually our own separate person. I stopped doing it because I ran out of money to keep doing the bandanas. But
we gonna bring it back though. We gonna
start funding.
If somebody wants to fund the bandanas, I will bring it back because I've been thinking about it. I will bring them back.
I got a bandana.
Let us know when you want to start doing it, and we'll send you some bandanas.
I have a West Coast trip coming up, and I will fill my suitcase with bandanas if that's what we're trying to do. Regardless, back to the the hashtag. Every couple of months or so, people get mad, whether in any marginalized groups, whether it be like the mishandling of Mustafa Ali, whether it be black talent not being used, whether it be the semi-exploitation of queer wrestlers. Every couple of months, it's something. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And not saying no one would do anything, but the effort was never sustained enough to continue the movement. And there was a space, I want to say either last Monday or the Monday before that, and they were like, what should we do as far as it goes with black wrestling? And people were like, well, you just need to stop watching WWE. And I'm like, no, that's not the answer. And somebody was like, well, we need to just create our own stuff. I was like, okay, now you're getting on the same page. And they were like, we need to find funding so we can create a new project. I'm like, no, there's projects that already exist that that showcase and highlight and uplift the black talent. There's promotions run by black people. And I'm not saying it to not create your own thing, but to act like they're not out there is asinine. Also, this stemmed from the fact that Big Swole's match with Diamante wasn't on TV. But people weren't watching Dark to begin with. They didn't know the whole feud was happening because they weren't watching Dark, which may speak more to the people who are in charge and promoting and booking it. But if you're not watching what's already out there with black talent, what gives you the right to complain when you're not supporting what's already out there? If you're not watching Butch versus Gore, why are you complaining about GCW? Because there's already someone giving what you want, and we should be expecting this across the board. But how are you going to complain against somebody else who's trying actively to do what you want to do, and it's not enough for you, but you don't support what's already out there? And not to say it like I cracked, but I cracked. I was like, I can't sit through this again. I refuse to sit through this again without any sort of sustained action. So I created a group chat with a bunch of other influential people in black wrestling. And I'm going to try and create a Discord soon so we can try and organize our thoughts a little more streamlined, and so
Yeah.
everyone can be involved. But I was like, we're gonna do a watch along of this dark thing, and if we get something trending alongside dark, they will have no choice but to acknowledge, in theory, what all is going on with this. We just need something that's going to catch somebody's eye or their ear. Somebody strike somebody's fancy, so to speak. And Lovely Laveau came up with hashtag Black Wrestling Draws. And I was like, that's marketable? I can run with it. And almost every single day since then, I've sat my black behind at my laptop and created a graphic from scratch, trying to create these watch parties for these shows. And like, I thought it would be like an black indie wrestling contained thing. Cause you know, I have like almost 5,000 followers, but my scope isn't that large. But the response and uptick in use over the past week has been crazy. Literally insane to me. Cause like, there's outside of Swole, no one really has touched the hashtag. It's been untouched by anybody with any sort of real following. This has all been organic and grassroots, and that's cool as hell to me because that means it's working. And I don't know what the end goal of this is, because eventually, for better or for worse, I'm gonna stop making those graphics. Like, I can't, I'm going to be busy one day, and that's just gonna stop. But the mission doesn't end because we get it trending once or twice or 3 times. The mission is to continue to uplift these projects. And I'm very sad that Butch vs. Gore ended, but when Butch vs. Gore comes around, Black Wrestling Draws. When Paradigm runs their anniversary show and it has Suge and Myron in the main event, Black Wrestling Draws. When AJ goes down to West Coast Pro and he wins the West Coast Pro title, Black Wrestling Draws. Because if you put money and viewership behind your energy, that's tangible. Just complaining about it puts nothing tangible behind it. And you're just complaining into a void, bound to repeat the process over and over again. This also very selfishly gives me, if this peters out and dies, this gives me a reason. If we start complaining about this again, I can point back and be like, what happened with this? Because we had this with momentum and it died. So why are you complaining again when we already had the system in place to improve it and you simply didn't do anything about it? That's the thinking behind Black Wrestling Draws. And now I just got off the phone with Lovely earlier, like right before I hopped on to here so we could do this interview. And we're going to start coming up with some cool stuff as far as it goes with Black Wrestling Draws. Hopefully. I may fuck it up. I may misspell Black Wrestling Draws one day on a graphic and then everybody laughs at me and then it dies. But hopefully, hopefully we got some cool stuff coming along. More watch parties, schedule, that sort of thing, and try and connect more pieces of at least the Black wrestling experience as we can latch onto and uplift the people. Because, and to steal a phrase from my good friend Chris, who runs Tiger Driver, I know he hates him being described like that, but that's how people know you, brother. Still a good phrase from Chris. Wrestling is for niggas. Black people love wrestling. Mm-hmm. We really do. It's just that eventually, one or two things happen. We learn that it's fake, predetermined, and that there's nothing you can do about that. Or we get showed that our reflection that we see on the screen really ain't worth shit. And it lacks the investment to continue and have people keep watching. But Black people love wrestling. They really do. I have people who stopped watching when they were a kid come to some of the shows that I was on. They're like, this was incredible. And now they go to every show. I have people who had never seen wrestling before. And they just saw 2 beefy people hitting each other in person. They're like, this is amazing. Wrestling is for niggas. It's just a matter of bringing the wrestling to niggas. And there's no better way to get it there than seeing somebody who looks like you.
Facts.
Yeah.
All right. we just wanted to put out the Black Wrestling Draws to the Twitterverse. You can catch this full spotlight with J Rose this Friday. Just two Indianapolis people with somebody who getting it in Ohio, you know what I'm saying? But look out for this Friday on the YouTube and Twitter. We are out. Black Wrestling Draws. Tune in for Jade Cargill and
You better.
AEW starting up in 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Shouts out to Rosie and Jamal. 3 minutes. Go and tune in. I'm gonna still be in the interview, but y'all got it. Y'all got it. Go look at my Twitter account. You can find the graphic there. Go and repost the graphic. Just take it. It's okay. It's okay. Steal from me. It's ours. Camaraderie. Not to be on my socialist type beat, but it's our graphic. Go ahead, take that graphic, post it on your own account, send it to a couple of friends. They post that graphic, you know what I'm saying? Then we can get it trending again. And maybe we get Jade Cargill a title shot. You know, I would like that just personally because I'm a Jade Cargill stan. But, you know, neither here nor there.
Hey, Jay, well, let me not get in that. All right,
Hey.
so.
God took his time. That's all you got to say.
Peace, Twitter.
Yeah. Peace. YouTube, you're done too. That's all I'll say about that. All right. So, oh man, that was a lot of feedback. So since we're not live, Terry, you need to cut this part. I don't know if y'all saw these comments over here on the side.
I can't see anything.
I didn't see it.
Okay, so it was a troll that was happening while we was doing that. Like while you was talking about that, he was like, "What about Trevor Murdoch? What about Nick Aldis? What about this and that?" And I'm like, "Bro,
Nick Aldis is literally champion for like fucking 5 years. What do you want more from him?
The craziest thing about all that to me,
No offense
like,
to Nick Aldis, I do love, but like let's go.
nah, that boy is a white bread.
Yeah.
Emphasis on white.
He's from the original colonization. Like let's.
And
not.
I like Trevor Murdoch too. And people were like, "Why weren't there black people on All Out?" And it's like I couldn't enjoy it if there was no black people. I was at All Out. That's the best wrestling show I've ever seen. Like, as much as I do want representation, and I don't want this to be misconstrued, I do want representation. I want people who look like me in places. I'm perfectly fine with just watching pro wrestling because I'm used to it being the way that it is. Wrestling on TV has almost never featured black folk. So me watching a card full of CM Punks and Kenny Omegas does not bother me. But if you want it, like to say, if the people out there complaining about it are saying that they want it like that, then let's get it cracking.
And I said something about it because I don't realize how much kids take in. But last year we had the march and everything, and my son was really on that kick, so he drew like a big black fist and the whole thing for Black History for School and everything. He got it on his wall. So after the event, he literally asked, he was like, "I didn't see any black people on the show," and I was like, "The women?" He was like, "But you was talking about telling me people that look like me and everything," and I'm like, So I'm like, oh, okay, this is really like colliding with everything that I'm actually telling to my sons. And I can't defend that, but I just told him, I was like, wrestling overall is historically like this. That's what we've been dealing with. But we can sit down and enjoy the wrestling. But if we want to see that, here go your Carmelo Hayes and your Chris Bays and your Lee Moriartys and your Calvin Tankmans and your Hoodfoots, people over here that you can also watch while still enjoying this. So,
Right.
I appreciate you saying that to the people. And a lot of people take that wrong. Oh, he said, no, you just put your eyes where the money is. And when they see that, every time black people do something, niggas do something, and they see people doing it, they can run it right over trying to offer the money so they can take it and try to get a little bit of that sauce. So we already know that. Hold on, Nicole, bring it back. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. So you said some stuff coming up with Black Wrestling Draws. So y'all mess up the hashtag, you know what I'm saying? Just retweet.
I'll mess it up too. Don't get it. My brain is mush.
I haven't misspelled it yet, so I'm proud of myself on that aspect.
Don't feel bad. It's okay.
So you said people who get people. So I I seen you on IWTV and everything, but I didn't know you was from Indianapolis. I was like, yo, it's a black dude announcing. He got energy. He doing his thing. I truthfully found out I came to a GCW show downtown, and I'm sitting in the back by myself, because hey, it's wrestling. Let's go check it out.
Right.
And Calvin Takeman comes over, and we just sitting there talking and everything. And he's like, oh well, the announcer. He went to Warren Central, and he started giving me like the little runaround, and I'm like, damn, man, like it's all this in Indianapolis, and I didn't know about it because I closed myself off to the Indianapolis scene because I was at a few events, and some of the stuff that was happening with the events and the people wasn't vibing with me at all. So, just to see somebody from Indianapolis like you, who I know doing their thing. Do you have any plans for Indianapolis yourself? That you could give up, not trying
Yeah.
to get
No, okay. So I'm just figuring out a way to word it. I love Indianapolis. I love Indianapolis the day I die. I have a love-hate relationship with Indiana, but I love Indianapolis. I truly, 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 truly love my city. I've loved it ever since I can remember. I'm trying to be diplomatic. The wrestling. I literally cannot, because I will get in trouble.
Okay.
I will create more trouble for even not for myself, for other people for being associated with me. Oh, he'll be talking shit. The vision of professional wrestling as it currently stands in the city of Indianapolis is not the same vision that I have for it. I'm not saying anyone's vision is good or bad. I'm just simply saying it's not the same vision that I have. And it's not the vision that Chase Holiday has, who lives in central Indiana. It's not the same vision that Sean Kemp has, who lives up in Fortville, which is right outside Indianapolis. It's not the same vision that Calvin Tankman has, who is way out east, like outside the county, but it's Indianapolis. It's not the same vision that Hoodfoot has, and he lives in like Hallville, damn near. We all have, yeah. It's not the same vision that we all have, and it seems to be that when people want to do stuff in wrestling in Indianapolis, they do it as quickly as possible. They get the ring. They find whatever they need to find and just haphazardly throw it together. Mm-hmm. There's a few exceptions to that, but traditionally that's how it ends out. And then it just peters out, or it ends up not being up to snuff to what it could be. I'm trying to find the words. So I want to try and do things thought out, full baked, the right way. And I'm not saying that anyone's doing it the wrong way, but specifically what I think is the right way.
Wrestling in a J. Rose vision. He's not saying anybody's vision in Indianapolis is incorrect or not good. He's just saying the way he wants to do it, he hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So until that gets closer, then he is going to hang out in the background.
I don't even know his vision like that, but I can tell you that what I've seen.
We had a conversation.
Oh, I know. I was trying to not get heat.
It's okay. Like we can't talk about it in depth because I don't want to get people's hopes up. But the vision. We've talked about it. Yeah,
his vision, J. Rose's vision, actually aligns with something that I would like to see. That's not. Yeah, that's not in Indianapolis at this moment. I think that's the best way to put it. So yeah,
the people who run in Indy, they may be Indianapolis, but it's some other vision in Indianapolis that I don't know. I'm Black Expo. I'm Circle City Classic. Long's Donuts on the west side. Multiple MCL cafeterias on the east side, baby. I was around when King Ribs was on Pendleton Pike, boy. I've been around. I've been around from the Nappy City to Jiggly, babe. Like I've been around. My cousin was part of the Dub C team to one state. Like I am Indianapolis. Steve Anderson's AOK Karate Indianapolis. That's what I'm talking about.
Hey,
I'm talking about Flanner House CLD Indianapolis. That's where I'm from.
Nicole, let me tell you this.
Yeah, because I was about to say, I know nothing about none of this
If
shit.
somebody tell you that they from Indianapolis and they say, I'm really Indianapolis, if you tell them Steve Anderson, AOK, and they have no idea what you're talking about, they are not, and I stand by this, they are not from Indianapolis.
You gotta be a deep West Sider to not know about it.
Deep West Sider, but even they know about it. But look.
I am Indianapolis. My parents grew up watching Sammy Terry on TV. Sammy Terry and Dick the Bruiser was their Saturday mornings.
Oh wow!
On Channel 4, yo. Hey,
I'm so Indianapolis. I remember when the Pacers, IU, and Purdue were all on TV4. I'm Indianapolis. My dad worked for Channel 13 WTHR for 20 years. Like, my mom used to work on Anthem on the Circle. Like,
hold up. Your dad ain't the weatherman, is he?
No. My dad was an engineer.
Okay.
No.
He's about to be like, wait a second.
No. I've had dinner with him on quite a few occasions, but no, it is not.
Okay. I was going to say, wait a minute. I'm sitting at this dude's house. I know that ain't your dad. Okay. Man. What else can we do here, Nicole? We got Black Wrestling Drop. I'm just excited to talk to J Rose because, here's somebody from Indianapolis doing their thing. And I'll say this, just hearing the talk that we had and hearing his vision, financial backing, sponsors, that seems I don't want no heat with no independent show, so never mind what I was just about to say. So J Rose,
I'm sorry, my cat's always in the way. She's noticed I'm doing something.
I almost got myself in trouble. So J Rose, what you got coming up, man?
Actually, I got a big, like the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna be on opposite ends of the country. On the 26th, which is a Sunday, I believe. Yeah, the Sunday, the 26th of September, I will be in Seattle, Washington for Without a Cause Wrestling Rise of the Dragon 2. It's a joint show, a collaborative show with Paradigm. I will be guest hosting some matches on the card. You can also catch Chase Holiday, Hoodfoot, Matthew Justice, Keita, Sonico, Nick Wayne, Billy Starks. They're all going to be on that card. Beta Scott, they're going to be on that card in Seattle. On that Monday, I'm very excited because I get to go to a Mariners game. And because we don't have no baseball team in Indianapolis, the Mariners have been my team since I was like little. I love the Mariners. They don't love me back, but I love the Mariners. I'm going to go see my first MLB game on Monday. Then I got a couple of other things I'm working on the West Coast that I cannot confirm. But then the next week after that, the first week of October, on the 8th, it is a big day for your boy. Well, no, that's 2 weeks after. Yeah, 2 weeks after. I will be hosting a New York Comic-Con panel presented by Tiger Driver 9X called, and I shit you not, this is the name, Wrestling is for Niggas, the Joy of Black Professional Wrestling. That is legitimately the name.
They let you book that panel name that.
I swear, it's technically WIFN, but Wrestling is for Niggas, the Joy of Black Professional Wrestling at New York City Comic-Con. I will be hosting that panel. Chris from Tiger Driver has been working real hard on this, so I don't know any other information about it. Information about that will come maybe a week before because he wants to keep it like really tight. But that is the thing that's happening. And then the same day, if travel allows, you can catch me at IWTV's Super Show Untitled, which has Alex Shelley versus Wheeler Yuta for the Independent Wrestling Championship. Other than that, at the end of October, I have Grap House out of Las Vegas. They present Scary Hours, which is like a Halloween festival. Come in costume. Not a whole bunch has been announced for that yet, but go to @GrapHouseLV on Twitter and Instagram for more information on that. That's going to be a real fun time. Please come out and support that. It's also going to be on Twitch. And the only other thing is on next Friday, actually. Let me correct myself. I have St. Louis Anarchy, and they present Wartime, which has Daniel Makabe versus Jeremy Wyatt for the Gateway Heritage Championship. And it also has Calvin Tateman versus Kevin Lee Davidson. Tateman making his St. Louis Anarchy debut. Other than that, just support IWTV. That's essentially all I got. I know that's a lot, but if you want to get all the information, I can't believe I was about to forget about that. No. You can go check out my website.
Hold on. Before you do that, let's get you right so you can do that because that's usually our last spot. That's our last spot. So J Rose, we bring you over here. And
I'm sorry. I blew the hot spot. I went home early. I hit my finish. Referee looked like we have 5 minutes left on TV.
Wait a minute. We gotta keep this going. Get out the ring for a second. So what we call is the put yourself over moment. Let them know your Instagram, your Twitters, how they can get at you. Let them know about your website. Let them know about the T-shirts that I saw you selling for yourself. Just put yourself over.
Okay, so you can find me at This Is J Rose on Twitter, Instagram, pretty much any social media. If you have social media and it's not This Is J Rose, more than likely it's not me. You can find my new website, thisisjrose.com, ThisisJrose. Thisisjrose.com, where you can find all my dates. You can find examples of my work in terms of ring announcing, audio visual work. You can find testimonials about me and people who say that I'm a good person. You can get links to my merchandise, which right now is just at whatamaneuver.com. But go to the website first. You'll get all the information as far as that goes. Please go look at the website because I've been working way too hard on it, and I think it looks really good. So please go look at the website. I'm pretty fond of it. I think you will be too. And support Independent Wrestling.tv, IWTV.live. Sign up using code JRose. You don't get anything for it, but it would be real cool if you did. No free trial. They got rid of that. But like, if you do sign up, use code JRose. That would be real tight. That would be real cool if you did that. And I think that's about it. Just continue to support independent professional wrestling. Shouts out to Tiger Driver 9X and the rest of the Can of Beans. And shouts out to the love of my life, the wind underneath my wings, my baby boo, MK. I love you so much, and I can't wait to see you very soon.
Aww.
I got to hit him with That's Your Girl, Your World. That's your girl, your world, B. Give it a shout out. They. Now, I'm not saying they get upset if I don't mention them, but they're like, "Oh no, shout out," and I'm like, "Oh." But I love shouting out. That's the love of my life. That's my baby. That's my boo thing. See how that shout out went? You know what I'm saying? That's gonna get. Never mind. Y'all know what that shout out did for him. All right.
Oh, one last shout out. I'm so sorry. Shouts out to. Let me pull these ones down. Shouts out to Lovely Laveau, who hooked me up with this great bracelet. You can find all their stuff at Lola_blue with 2 U's, I believe that's the @. If not, Cool. At Lola_blue, 2 U's, BLUU. You can find all sorts of adornments. That includes necklaces, waist beads, earrings, nose rings, nose studs, and bracelets. They hooked me up with this one, and I think it's beautiful. It shines in the sun. That's really cool to me. These two, they didn't make, but like, you got to accessorize. With this one, the cool looking one, go get one for yourself. We're making this the new status statement in professional wrestling. So if you ain't got one of these, boy, you lame. Get you a lovely piece of jewelry. And if you don't, you lame. That's what we saying now. This is the status symbol. If you ain't got one of these, you are lame.
Get call it lovely pizzas. I don't know. But you can go to Lola's Blue page, and I like when she creates stuff, it's right on her timeline. It's right there. If you need anything, just DM her. She got a quick turnaround time too. So
facts. They're about to get a piece done for me in about a day. They said it'll be done tomorrow, and I just told them about it today. Now I can't guarantee that for you, but turnaround time is quick, baby. You can win on the postman.
I need to talk to her about maybe doing me one of those because I missed the Dragon Ball ones.
Oh, I missed it too.
I wanted them so bad, and it was just like when she like put out the release, I was like back to back work. So by the time I they were all gone, I was like, damn it.
Yeah, I remember she put them up because I was like, yes, do them. And then when I went to her, she's nope, over.
I was like, damn, this many people bought them this fast, but I was like, dang.
It's like good.
I was hurt, which is fantastic, but
fantastic for her, shitty for us.
Yeah.
Get money. Nicole. Oh, I got to ask him, even though I know what his answer is going to be. If it's not, this is going to be upset. But I come in, J Rose, and I look.
Oh my
god! I say, I got two. Because I asked everybody this. The Rock or Stone Cold?
So I'm gonna say something that may be controversial, right?
Oh shit!
Austin's run was only like 2 years. Rock's run was a big part of '99 into 2002.
Keep it down. Keep it down. They don't want to hear that. Keep it down.
If you talking about like
keep it down, Jay.
like now I will say at the same point, Rocky Maivia was set up to succeed. Steve Austin was set up to fail, and he succeeded in spite of it. I will give him that. But who held it down? Who really held it down? Like Stone Cold was a bigger wrestling star, and that's not debatable. I will not debate that. As far as wrestling goes, for wrestling fans, he was the bigger wrestling star. But Rock was a multi-time world champion from '99 to 02. That's the guy. That's the dude. I can't say otherwise. Did Austin maybe have higher peaks? Yeah, but you cannot argue with a damn near 4-year run, 99, 2000, 01, 02. That was Rock's run, and he held the company on his back until Brock Lesnar came around and said, yeah, I got it, big dog. And that's all I'm saying on that.
Whatever.
I'll hear any argument, you know what I'm saying?
No. I don't argue because the thing about this argument is that everyone is technically right. I just get butthurt because I'm a Stone Cold fan since way back when. And I love The Rock. I love The Rock.
You're like, you do have credence in saying the best Stone Cold moments are better than the best Rock moments. And that's also not debatable.
Yeah.
Stone Cold's hits are condensed and they're bigger hits, which you could make a great argument for saying that he is the better competitor. I can see that. But for my money, when nobody going out and just doing it like The Rock, you can send him out and say, go.
Yeah,
Stone Cold. Here's the argument. Stone Cold needed props. The Rock did not need props.
I can agree with that 100%. So that's the one thing about this argument, or I don't want to say it's an argument. It's just like
Discussion.
yeah, it's discussion. Like everybody's right, whatever point or whatever hill anybody wants to die on, anything with this, they are essentially right. That's why. But Terry likes starting shit, so that's why he always asks this question.
What you mean? I just ask everybody, but it always makes us feel a little bit better when people say, well, make me feel a little bit better when people say The Rock. So, sorry about your Stone Cold love, Nicole. But hey, J Rose. Damn, Nicole, don't leave on me.
I don't have the laptop and I don't have the Drake theme, so that's you. So I just have to exit myself out instead of playing the not Drake. What's his name? Soldier Boy.
Talking about Big Soldier from the Hood?
Yeah.
Oh, you wanted to play the all right. So let's get up out of here. Nicole, go ahead. Put yourself over, get the people your social so they know where to reach you.
You can find me at our podcast, D4TC_podcast. One of those is our Twitter. What is our
D4.
One is our Twitter, one is our Instagram. What's our Instagram? Our Instagram is D4TC_podcast. You can tell I'm not the one who usually does this. This is Tiffany. And then you can find us at Down for the Count 19 on Twitter. If you want to listen to me ramble about random stuff, usually comic books and or wrestling and a combination of everything. I was yelling about the Met Gala for about 2 hours the other day. You can find me on my personal at NicoleMaria_89.
Y'all know us. We everywhere. Hashtag we LUV wrestling. Just talking about wrestling, my personal profile at King Trey to the D. Talk about football, comics, Marvel stuff, work life, all that. So follow both of them. But J Rose, we like to thank you. Indianapolis owned. Let me say that again. Indianapolis owned J Rose. Y'all know.
You damn right.
Y'all know I rep Indy because people get on here that's not from Indy in this football season. We've been going at it. So, I got to rep my coach. Don't talk about what just happened, but hey, let's keep going. Nicole,
I can't say much about my team, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
All right.
It's always next year. I'm saluting y'all with my hands so straight that it's curved.
So we out of here. We thank J Rose for coming through Indianapolis Zone. We thank Nicole for giving us the time. Y'all know Nicole. And like I always say, if I love wrestling and you love wrestling, then we love wrestling. It's too sweet for the culture.